I'm Art Harris back at the United Astrologers Congress, and I'm sitting here with one of the superstars of the field. I have to confess there's a personal connection. My wife suggested that we go see David Rayleigh when we decided we were going to get married. He picked a date 12 years ago, and we're still together. So I have you to thank.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. And Carol, too, yes.
But it's fascinating because you are now one of the leading exporters of astrological knowledge to China.
Yes, I am.
And usually it's the other way around. Your books are selling like hotcakes or rice cakes in China. And you have with you a brilliant young woman who is the editor of a newsletter, which is Sina.com, which is the... why don't you tell me, what is Sina.com?
Astrology channel. I'm the chief editor here, and we operate Australia channel over 11 years.
There's a huge interest, from what Dave tells me, in astrology in China, and Western astrology. Why is that? Suddenly, usually it's we're fascinated with what the Chinese are doing and want to learn how they do it so well and cheaply. What is it that you have that they don't?
Well, what happened, and Ji Yun can also can affirm this, is that the young people in China found Western astrology on the internet. And over the last, especially 5, maybe 7 years, Western astrology has become extremely popular. Young people are talking about it all the time. And as we know, there's been 35 million visitors to the astrology channel on Sina.com. They have 200,000 visitors a day, 5 million visitors over the course of a month. It's just a phenomenon. Ji Yun is as the editor of this channel, is doing an incredible job to spread the word about Western astrology.
Thank you, David.
David, you are the funny thing. You're a rock star in another land.
And it's like being the Marco Polo of Western astrology. That's what a friend of mine says.
Describe a gathering. I mean, people show up. They want you to autograph their books. And
but you know,
what is it like?
Actually, you know, it's exciting. I mean, nobody knew when I first started doing business with China. I had no idea of the level of popularity until I went over there. And you're talking about people who were standing in line for hours for the lectures to have their books signed. It was just incredible. I had no idea that there was that level of popularity.
But it's a country that had its own astrology, didn't it, for years? Why not?
That's true.
Why didn't they stick with Chinese astrology?
Well,
why do they want?
Chinese astrology still exists, and Chinese astrology is very good. It's a wonderful tradition. There are many different branches of Chinese astrology.
Yes.
But part of the problem is that it's written in a more archaic language, which makes it harder for young people to be able to access. If you were, for example, trying to read a book that was written in Chaucerian English, it would be difficult for you to access that information.
Yes, difficult words, you know, very different.
Why is he popular?
What is popular? You know, we want to know us. The Western astrology is very good tool, and its background like psychology, and we can know what is I think, why I think, and who am I in Western astrology. But Chinese astrology can't tell us that. So
it gives you more insight into your own life, your own reason for being, what your gifts may be, than other things that...
But it's also personal growth. One of the things that I think that, you know, modern urban life in China is very challenging.
Yes.
You know, very challenging. There's a lot of stress. There are a lot of issues. They're just part of modern living, particularly in China, because this is a relatively new process that's going on. And they find that Western astrology is helpful from a personal growth point of view. They're really able to understand themselves better.
Yeah.
And if you understand yourself better, you can make choices about how to live your life that makes your life work out in a more fulfilling way. This is also, not only is Sina doing this, but you know, I started a website, the first Western astrology website, which is nodoor.com, and we're working with Sina.com to really let people know more of how they can access Western astrology as a tool for personal growth.
David, we've talked to a lot of astrologers. What is your approach compared to others? You have an amazing book out that deals with the North and the South nodes.
Yes, this is called The Soul Purpose. That's right. Yes.
So how would you distinguish yourself? It gets people away from what? Sun signs and...
Well, you know, sun signs, there's nothing wrong with sun signs.
It's very simple, right?
Yeah, but that's entertainment astrology. Entertainment astrology, there's nothing wrong with that because it's really what most people are introduced to when it comes to astrology. But here at UAC, you've got professionals, very serious professionals from all over the world who are consulted by business people, corporate people, finance people, sometimes behind-the-scenes relationships, even with reporters, also relationships with people even sometimes in government, for example.
When people say, David, how could this work? Who else would possibly use astrology? Tick off a few of the famous names who have used it before.
Well, the Reagans, for example, Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan. In fact, long before Reagan was in the White House and was getting astrological information from Nancy Reagan, there was an astrologer in California named Carol Ryder that he used to visit even before he became governor of California. Of course, Teddy Roosevelt, former president, also used astrology. In fact, there are many famous people on that list that I sent you that use astrology. John Rockefeller is another, J.P. Morgan, Albert Einstein was interested, Carl Jung. So there's really quite a list of people, including yourself, in fact.
So we shouldn't be embarrassed if we slip around to visit David Rayleigh or someone.
Definitely not. I think, you know, I mean, you came out of the closet, so to speak, in terms of astrology, to say that you had actually consulted professional astrology to get some information to help you in your life. You know, one of the things that I say to people is that you don't want to take astrological information exclusively, but you do want to take it seriously, and you want to compare it to other information, because astrology simply provides you with a point of view about who you are and can help you make sometimes decisions that create a little bit more fulfillment in your life, solving some of the stresses of life, which is why it's popular, as we were talking about a while ago, in modern China, why the young people in modern China have embraced Western astrology, is because it's been upgraded and updated to fit modern life. It's not something that is archaic or something that's part of the past.
How did you pick my wedding date?
By taking a look at the month, day, year, time, and place that you were born, and the month, day, year, and time and place that your wife Carol was born. And I took a look at that and tried to pick something that was not too stressful.
Yeah. And you came up with November 8th.
That's right.
And
Yes.
you know, we're still together.
How was that wedding?
It was pretty amazing. A Rasta rabbi on the beach in Jamaica.
Wow.
So it was small but sweet. So thank you for that. And looking ahead, though, you have also made some other predictions.
Yes, pick an area.
Football, the Saints.
Oh, no. All right. Well, sometimes astrologers find themselves in the same place that journalists find themselves, having to comment on things they don't know a whole lot about, you know. But on KU6, I was invited to weigh in on the World Cup back in 2010. And so we used astrology as kind of an experiment. I said, look, I'm not a sports astrologer, but if you'll give me the birth data on some of the major players, I'll weigh in on it and we'll see. And we had some success, even though I was really kind of doubtful whether we would have any success because we didn't have all the astrological data that you need. We only had the month, day, year. We didn't have the time of birth or the place of birth. But we were able to analyze the game ahead of time between the Netherlands and Japan. And in fact, we were able to predict the winner and who would score the goal and when he scored it. And after that, we had like 5 shows. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes. That was very exciting.
Yes.
What about politics? Have you weighed in? I know others have.
It's, as you know, most of my experience with politics has been more behind the scenes. And I can say this now since, since Mayor Jackson is no longer with us. But I was an astrologer for many years for the mayor of Atlanta, Maynard Jackson. And so there are many professional astrologers here who have behind-the-scenes relationships with people who are in positions of authority, whether it's in the corporate world or in government or the political world, because we provide good information that really helps people understand what's going on in their lives. You know, now, if you're talking about political predictions, I can tell you that we have this big presidential panel coming up here at UAC, and we also have, of course, the press conference today. There'll be a lot of questions about that. there is a sort of consensus right now that Obama is going to win. However, we have also noticed that there's a retrograde Mercury on the day of the election. So you remember what happened back in 2000 when there were all the hanging chads and all the problems
Florida,
and so
yep.
forth, right? We're a little bit concerned that that same potential exists again on this election. So it may get really dicey when it comes down to some of the states that are right on the edge, and just like the situation we had with Florida last time. If it's a close election, that could be a big problem. So, astrologers, we're all kind of looking at that going, oh my, we wonder if that's going to, be another deja vu,
Patterns that are often forecast by, as you say, the position of planets and the sun at that point
That's
in
right.
time. So if someone wants to go to an astrologer, what should they expect?
Well, first, I think it's really important to do a little research in terms of the professional that you go to. You want to say, how long is this astrologer practiced? Mm-hmm. Have they gone through any kind of training? What's their educational background? Have they been certified by any of the other organizations? This kind of thing. And it's very important, too, to go into an astrologer realizing that they're going to ask you questions, you're going to ask them questions, there's an interaction. To not think that the astrologer is like some kind of performer, like a fortune teller, who is just going to talk and perform and tell you things about yourself like you might have in the marketplace here in New Orleans, for example.
So if someone gave you a birthday and refused to say anything to you and waited for you to spit it back and said, but you're supposed to know.
Well, what's funny about that is my clients, it's been a while actually since I don't take new clients anymore. Early in my practice, when I used to get a lot of new clients, every now and then I would get a chart of someone with Scorpio as a rising sign. Well, that would tell me that during the first 15 minutes of the session, guess what? They were not going to say anything. Even if I asked them a question, they would give me almost no information.
It happened always.
Yes.
Just for Scorpio.
Yeah, for Scorpio, that's right, exactly. Because Scorpio is a sign that says, I want to know if I can trust you or not. So in some cases, I was prepared for the silent treatment. And I knew it was going to happen,
Yeah.
But in most cases, astrology is much more effective in terms of the interaction with the person in the same way as psychology, really, because you have to take the chart itself, which is just a diagram of where the planets were when someone was born, and you have to compare that and correlate that with what's going on with that individual. It's kind of like, imagine this. Imagine that you had never seen a map of where you lived before. Never seen a map, all right? But you live there, okay? So I come to you and I say, look, here's a map of your neighborhood. You really? And I say, yes. Here's this bridge and this stream. And you're like, oh, I know where that bridge is. I know where that stream is. I go across that all the time. So an astrologer is like someone who's explaining a map, except it's a map about you and about your life.
Yeah.
So it validates your reality and opens doors that you didn't know were there. Possibly.
Sure. We might be able to tell you things about the map or about your life from looking at the map that you had never thought about before.
Well, I'm here in New Orleans with one of the stars of the superstars in astrology and your Chinese partners, and I want to thank you.
Thank you, Art. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.